During the 2021 boom, boats were selling faster than dealers could list them. But now, boat sales have dropped by over 7%. Overpriced listings sit for months, and buyers are walking away, just as hundreds of thousands of baby boomer-owned boats flood the market. The hidden truth behind the boat market's collapse is more severe than most realize. What is really driving this downturn, and who stands to lose the most? New powerboat sales in the United States have entered a clear downward spiral. According to the National Marine Manufacturers Association, retail sales dropped 7.3% over the past 12 months, falling to just over 220,000 units. Wholesale shipments declined even more sharply, nearly 12%, signaling that manufacturers are pulling back as inventories pile up. In segments once considered the backbone of the middle-class market, the numbers are even more severe. Pontoons are down by about 15%. Wake sport boats are down 12%. Stern drive categories are nearly 19% lower, and jet boats are down almost 18%. Dealers and brokers now talk openly about a glut of unsold inventory, and docks are crowded with boats that simply are not moving. Even as online interest and listing views remain high, the conversion to actual sales has slowed to a crawl. The period of rising demand and easy closings is over. What is left is a market defined by price sensitivity, longer wait times, and a growing sense of uncertainty among both sellers and industry analysts. Marine loan rates that hovered around 3 to 4% just a few years ago now routinely range from 7 to 10%. For buyers, this means a monthly payment on a boat costing $100,000 can jump by several $100s, putting even modest models out of reach for many. Brokers on platforms like Boat Trader and Yacht World report that while online searches and saved listings remain high, far fewer shoppers are actually making offers. The conversion rate from browsing to buying has dropped sharply, leaving sellers waiting months, sometimes a full year, for a serious inquiry. Many buyers, especially those relying on financing, are holding back. They are watching rates, comparing listings, and refusing to stretch their budgets for boats that no longer feel affordable. As one Gulf Coast broker put it, people are still dreaming, but they are not signing. The result is a market full of window shoppers and cautious would-be owners, with patience replacing the urgency that once drove quick sales. Florida's marine economy remains the largest in the country, generating on the order of $6+ billion in boat sales, service, and related activity in 2023 alone. Even as the national market slows, Florida's year-round boating culture and dense concentration of marinas keep activity levels higher than anywhere else in the U.S. Dealers in the state still report robust interest, but even here, boats are sitting on the market longer, and sales volumes have slipped by double digits from the 2021 peak. According to Boats Group data, listings in Florida now take an extra 30 to 45 days to sell compared to last year, and brokers are seeing more inventory stack up in coastal corridors like Fort Lauderdale and Tampa Bay. The story looks different around the Great Lakes. These states have some of the highest boat ownership rates per capita, but new boat sales and registrations have slipped by a modest single-digit margin, roughly 3 to 4% year over year. That may sound minor, but in a region with hundreds of thousands of boats, even a small drop in demand means more used pontoons, wake boats, and runabouts lingering on the market. Dealers in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Ohio report slower foot traffic, higher inventory costs, and a growing backlog of unsold boats as buyers grow cautious. While Florida's market is softening from a position of strength, inland regions like the Great Lakes are feeling the impact more acutely, with pandemic-era gains now unwinding and inventory building up in marina lots. A massive demographic shift is now reshaping the used boat market. Baby boomers, who for decades formed the backbone of United States boat ownership, are exiting the scene in unprecedented numbers. Industry estimates put the number of boats under boomer ownership at roughly 8.5 million nationwide. As this generation ages into their 60s, 70s, and beyond, the pace of exits is accelerating. Over the next year alone, between 850,000 and 1 million boats are expected to leave boomer hands, whether through sales, donations, or simply being abandoned. 60 to 70% of those boats are likely to hit formal listings, flooding brokerage sites and classified ads with a wave of inventory the market has never had to absorb before. This is not just a trickle of weekend runabouts. It is a surge of 1970s to 1990s cruisers, sailboats, and motor yachts, often larger, older, and more complex than what younger buyers are willing to take on. For every new buyer hesitating on the sidelines, there are now multiple sellers hoping to unload boats that once symbolized retirement dreams. The result is a swelling backlog of listings and a looming supply glut that threatens to overwhelm demand for years to come. Slip fees and storage bills have surged across the country, turning what was once a manageable annual expense into a major financial burden for boat owners. In many coastal cities and popular lake regions, the cost of a 30 to 35-foot slip has jumped from around $4,000 a year in 2021 to as much as $6,000 or more by 2025. Some marinas in Florida and the Pacific Northwest now charge over $200 per foot annually for prime berths, with waiting lists stretching for years. Dry stack storage and winter haul-out rates have climbed as well, often by 20 to 40% in just a few seasons. Insurance costs have followed the same steep curve. Premiums for a typical 32-foot cruiser have risen from about $650 in 2021 to over $1,000 in many markets, especially for older boats or those kept in hurricane-prone areas. Insurers have tightened requirements, demanding recent surveys and sometimes refusing coverage entirely for aging hulls. For some owners, the combined effect of higher slip fees and insurance bills means paying $2,500 to $3,000 more each year just to keep a boat in the water. As these fixed costs outpace wage growth and general inflation, more owners are forced to list their boats, often at reduced prices, simply to escape the mounting bills. The pressure to sell builds with every renewal notice, fueling the oversupply and driving prices even lower. Brokers have developed a toolkit for navigating today's market, but many of these tactics put buyers at a disadvantage. One of the most common moves is anchoring, listing a boat at a price pegged to the 2021 peak, even though actual sales have dropped sharply since then. Buyers are told these numbers reflect market value, with brokers pointing to other unsold listings as proof, while real closing prices are often tens of thousands lower. In documented cases from California and Florida, regulators have disciplined brokers for making false claims about value and for failing to disclose known issues. Arbitration files and consumer complaints reveal a pattern. Buyers are pressured to act quickly, with common lines such as "another offer is coming in," or "this one will not last," even as boats languish for months. Survey findings, such as moisture in the deck or high engine hours, are sometimes minimized or left out of the listing entirely. In several lawsuits, buyers discovered after closing that critical problems were known to the broker but never revealed. The result is a marketplace where emotional salesmanship and selective disclosure can leave even experienced buyers exposed to hidden risks and inflated prices. A marine surveyor walks the length of a 1980s cruiser, tapping the deck with a mallet. The sound turns dull and hollow, a clear sign of moisture trapped in the balsa core, a sign of aught spreading beneath the surface. Below the waterline, clusters of blisters mark the hull. Osmosis, the slow invasion of water into old fiberglass, often requires a full peel and relamination. On many boats from the 1970s to the 1990s, these issues have gone undetected or been ignored for years. Survey reports detail bulkheads pulling away from the hull, tabbing failures, and soft decks that flex underfoot. Engines tell their own story. Original diesels, now 30 or 40 years old, have critical parts that are no longer available from any supplier. The cost to refit a neglected 35-foot cruiser can range from $30,000 to $80,000, erasing any illusion of a bargain. The surveyor's verdict is blunt. Without a thorough inspection, buyers risk inheriting a structural time bomb, not a weekend escape. Over the next 12 to 36 months, risk levels will not be equal across the boat market. Wake boats and luxury pontoons built during the pandemic surge are now among the hardest hit, with values falling sharply and repossessions rising. Aging 30 to 45-foot cruisers and sailboats, especially those from the 1970s to the 1990s, face ongoing price erosion as structural risks and ownership costs drive buyers away. In contrast, late-model outboard boats under 28 feet and well-documented blue water cruisers are holding value better, thanks to strong demand and lower fixed costs. For buyers, patience is leverage. Inventory remains high, and the deepest discounts may appear over the next 2 seasons. Protection starts with a thorough independent survey, a haul-out for hull inspection, and contingency clauses tied to survey results. In a falling market, skipping these steps risks turning a dream purchase into a financial liability that keeps sinking. Right now, thousands of boats sit unsold while costs keep rising and uncertainty grows. For buyers and sellers, denial is no longer an option. The market's reckoning is not coming. It's already here. The real question is who adapts and who gets left stranded. Share your thoughts below.